Chào mừng các bạn đã quay trở lại với Nguy Cơ, chương trình được phát sóng trên mọi nền tảng của VN Express. Và tôi là Thái Vân Linh, người dẫn chuyện của các bạn ngày hôm nay. Kính thưa quý vị và các bạn, hôm nay tôi rất vui khi được ngồi cùng với lãnh đạo của một trong những ngân hàng hàng đầu tại Thái Lan. Đây là ngân hàng với 77 năm kinh nghiệm trong lĩnh vực tài chính tại Thái Lan và gần một thập kỷ đứng vị trí số 1 trong danh sách các nhà đầu tư trái phiếu nội tệ của châu Á. Và tôi thật sự hào hứng khi được trò chuyện cùng ông Chat Luangarpa, Phó Chủ tịch điều hành KBank.
The Vietnamese people are very active and energetic.
I see there's so much energy and a lot of positivity. You see the economy booming again.
KYC or know your customer is a big thing because we need to be prudent with the business to serve the real people and the right people. As this is a global phenomenon, it is very common that everybody is going to need to endure this downturn. It happened to everyone.
You know, as I think about companies navigating a downturn, making sure that your team is happy, that they're still growing.
Technology will become the core capability of not just a bank but every business.
Technology is definitely one of the channels of growth.
We don't see competition as a big risk. Working together, trying to or fighting to serve the clients. Maybe the best choice is not the one that is the biggest one.
Hôm nay chúng ta có một khách mời là người nước ngoài. Xin phép Linh sẽ trò chuyện với anh Chat bằng tiếng Anh. Hello Chat, great to have you here. Thank you for being here today.
Good morning, Lynn, and good morning, all the audience.
So before we start the show, we usually have a fun little game to get to know the guest a little bit more. So you see in front of you here 4 calculations, plus, minus, multiplication, and division. If you were a business owner, or as a business leader, what do you think would most represent your leadership style?
Of course, we'll do the plus.
Plus, okay. And why do you choose plus?
You might have heard about our mobile banking application. Mm-hmm. We call it K Plus. And we used to call it K Mobile Banking. But now that the application is doing a lot more than just the banking transaction, so we add the plus. Right, so this plus will add different benefits and things to the consumers.
That's great. So always getting more, always giving more. Sure. Awesome. Okay, so in here we have 2 questions. So fun little questions to get to know you a little bit more. First question: if you're allowed to stay in Vietnam for a long time, which place will you choose and why?
This is a tough one. I haven't been to that many places in Vietnam. But among the places I've been to, I would choose Huế. I'm personally from Chiang Mai, from the north of Thailand, and the atmosphere of Huế is actually very similar to my hometown. Yes. It's a peaceful place, right? I think I need to travel more in Vietnam to get to know more about the country and different cities before I can actually decide where I want to stay for a long time.
Okay, so next question. If you had to pick a color that represents the financial market, which one would it be and why?
For us, KBank, it'll have to be green. I think this round of global development, sustainability, and the green would be a big thing moving forward because we need to deal with the climate change, and now it become more serious, right? So. At KBank, we take sustainability as our philosophy, and also for this round of growth, especially in a country like Vietnam, I think green is a color of abundance and prosperity. So green would be the color.
That's great. Always optimistic, right? Reaching for the green.
And we are lucky to have the color as the identity of the bank.
Well, speaking about that, why did you choose green? Is it because the financial markets are green, or is there another reason behind that color?
The bank Kasikon actually means agriculture in Thailand. And if you look at our logo, it's actually a rice tree, right? Green has always been in our mind, and we've been supporting all the business in a sustainable way. So in Thailand, we are known as a green bank.
That's great. And as I understand, you recently entered the Vietnam market. And I would say this is a very tough financial situation to enter a market. Can you talk about why you decided to enter Vietnam at this stage?
People, the Vietnamese people, are very active and energetic. And I think the country of these almost 100 million people is now ready to enter what we believe is a hyper-growth phase. And not just the people in Vietnam, but the people also in the region. If you look at the number, you see that the connectivity among the ASEAN countries is getting stronger and stronger. The decoupling between the East and the West has put Southeast Asia as a new global growth driver. So, and Vietnam will become the leader in this round of growth. So we've been planning this Vietnam entry for actually quite a long time. We've been opening our representative office 5-6 years ago, and finally the Vietnamese government has allowed us to open a bank here. So we established the branch last year in November. Happy to be here, and I think we are here at the very right time. So the Vietnam economy is growing, and the people are becoming more positive. So it'll be a lot of fun, and hope we can become part of it. Hope that we can support the Vietnamese economy.
That's great. Yeah, I think I definitely agree with your perspective. Being here on the ground, I see there's so much energy and a lot of positivity. You see the economy booming again. Things are picking back up again after COVID. I'm curious, what research did you see outside of Vietnam that made you think, oh, Vietnam will be one of the leading countries in Southeast Asia?
So the domestic market is actually very, very big. And there's still a large opportunity, right? We still see a lot of unbanked population in the country. And also in terms of economy, this round of development, we see Vietnam is a very strong exporter and manufacturer of a lot of high-value product, not just as an OEM, but also the Vietnamese brand. So both the domestic product, the investment and the export will grow in Vietnam very interestingly. So we are very happy that we can become part of it.
That's definitely great. I think KBank's history in Thailand gives you a very strong foundation as you enter the Vietnam market. As you mentioned, the economy is growing, and there are a lot of large businesses as well as small businesses here in Vietnam that are growing and continuing to progress in the market. You mentioned that you're interested in the Vietnam market because there's a lot of growth. Can you talk about what specifically within the market are you interested in, and where do you see that growth?
Actually, it's not easy to choose because everywhere we go in Vietnam, we see that every segment is growing very quickly. Of course, as a new bank, following the Thai investor will be the first thing that we do. That's the common pathway when we open a new bank in a new country. And as I mentioned before, the connectivity between Thailand and Vietnam is getting stronger and stronger. So we can see the foreign direct investment from Thailand coming to Vietnam, and also the trade volume between the two countries are also growing quite significantly. But when we come to Vietnam and we start the branch, we also realize that the local business in Vietnam in every segment is also growing. So apart from the Thai businesses that we need to serve, we also start right away with the Vietnamese large corporate. But then again, start interacting with the business community in Vietnam, we also realize that there's a big growth in the SME. Right? One of a very big thing that we observe in Vietnam is that, this is what my personal observation since the first time I come to Vietnam. I don't see any house, right, as a residential property, right? Everywhere I go, every building, every house it's a shop. So we sense that the entrepreneurial spirit of the Vietnamese people are very strong. And this is, I think, the most important ingredient, right, of the strong SME segment. And when we actually go and look at the number, we found that there are millions of SME businesses in Vietnam, and they are contributing to over 40% of the Vietnamese economy, right? And moving forward, we believe it will be more. Not just that, just before we opened the branch, we found that the State Bank of Vietnam, which is one of the most modern regulator in the region, has already announced the eKYC. For banking, KYC or know your customer is a big thing because we need to be prudent with the business to serve the real people and the right people. So the big regulatory requirement for every bank is to do the know your customer or KYC correctly.
That's great. Yeah, I think the Vietnam market experiences a lot of that leapfrog phenomenon that you're talking about, especially with mobile phones. Correct. No one has, if you do this doesn't make sense to anybody. It's more like this. Here's the phone, right? So that's great that you entered at the right time, it seems like. Or actually you started thinking about the Vietnam market at the right time a few years ago. But when you entered, you mentioned in April, and then I think in August was kind of the big launch, right? So April was when you started and August was when you launched. But then since then, the global economy has taken a downturn. Do you still see opportunity in Vietnam given the downturn?
Definitely. This global phenomenon is being experienced everywhere. So we don't worry too much about these headwinds. Of course, there'll be some slowdown, but in the end, it would come to the foundation or the growth driver in each country. As this is a global phenomenon, it is very common that everybody is going to need to endure this downturn. But as it happened to everyone, the country that will come out of this crisis first would be the country with a very strong growth. So although we are in that global downturn, I think Vietnam is still one of the best places in the world to do business.
Yeah, as I think about companies navigating a downturn, I think one of the most important things that you have to think about is the people. Right, making sure that your team is happy, that they're still growing, making sure you're taking care of your customer and they're happy with their products and services. How has KBank viewed people as you started growing within Thailand and then now within Vietnam?
As a service business, people is the most important asset that we can have. Our philosophy is actually service excellence. So we need to make sure that before we provide excellent service to our clients, our people has to be happy first. And as a new bank coming into Vietnam, we believe that we can bring our HR platform. We have quite a sophisticated people development program. So as this is the new economy and the people are very young, I believe that we represent a lifelong career opportunity, right, to the Vietnamese community. So we hope that the staff, the Vietnamese people, the new graduates who decide to join us at KBank will have a great experience. So when it comes to people, right, at KBank, our regional expansion team is called WBG, stands for World Business Group. And we position our employee proposition as a world of borderless growth. So this round of career, we are offering not just the opportunity to come and work and earn your salary, but this is an opportunity to learn from our 70-something years of experience. So we'll share the knowledge that we have collected over the decades to our staff. And it won't be just in Vietnam. right? Our staff will also have an opportunity to participate and in something we call this will be an international career, right? Because we are not just in Vietnam, we are in Laos, in Cambodia, in China, and in Indonesia, and maybe another countries later.
KBank is not only set up to train their people, but also very open to new ideas and receptive to people, just outsiders coming in and creating change and creating more opportunity for the bank.
Yes, and also in addition to that, the bank would train the people. For example, I'm from other industries, right? After working with the bank for about 2 years, they also decide that they want to allow me to experience the real banking service. So they send me to work as a branch manager for the whole year. So me, who has never been working with a bank before, has to learn on the ground how to give good service to the customers, to understand what the customer want, and we allow our staff to do that hands-on, not just in the training room.
That's great. I think there are already a lot of banks in Vietnam, but I think experiencing a new level of customer service would be very interesting to the consumer here. So can we talk a little bit about that? What do you think are some of the key factors that a person would consider before they would buy an investment product or before they invest their money into any bank, and specifically into KBank?
There'll be a few factors, right? Apart from the usual factor about the stability and the prudency of the bank. I think this time we are entering a new normal. So I would suggest that the consumers or the business consider the bank with strong technology, because moving forward, technology will become the core capability of not just a bank but every business. And I believe that a bank that will prosper in the future would be the bank that has technology as a core capability. Apart from that, I would suggest that you consider a bank that has a good people policy. Happy staff will support the business in the long term, and also as this is a transforming business. We heard about fintech, we heard about digital banking. So the people at the bank will need to be continuously trained or learn the new skills and be ready for the new world. So strong tech and strong human capital would be a big consideration point for you to choose a bank, apart from all the usual financial stability and such.
That's great. So you talked a lot about the people side of KBank, and I understand there's a lot of growth opportunity for anybody that wants to pursue a career with KBank. Let's talk a little bit now about the technology in K+. So I understand that you offer a lot of services on K+, one of them being QR codes for merchants. I understand also, though, that other banks in Vietnam also have apps. Can you talk a little bit about how K+ is different and more unique than what's available on the market?
We have this K+ mobile banking application, and this is the application that we developed in-house several years ago. So, and we were the first Thai bank to offer the native application experience, the native mobile application experience to the banking users in Thailand. In the past, because we developed since the early internet era, so most banks would stuck with the internet banking, the web-based banking. So the K+ is the first native mobile app in the country, and it enhanced the user experience. So we have become, over the years, we have become the largest mobile banking in Thailand with over 19 million users, and not just number of users that registered with us. Among the 19 million people that use K+, over 80% of the users are actually active users. Tech engineers, they want to work with tech firms, right? So we decided, okay, we can create a tech company environment, and we would treat these IT guys the way they should be, right? Let them live in the environment of a tech company. So KBTG happened, right? And now we have about 2,000 IT engineers in KBTG in Thailand. And not just that, because we believe that we need to carry this capability with us wherever we go. So 2 years ago, just before COVID, we also set up KBTG China, where we have a bank. And this year, we already set up KBTG Vietnam. And this year, we plan to have about 100 IT engineers in Vietnam, here in Ho Chi Minh City.
Okay, that's great. I think as a lot of businesses think about growth into the future, technology is definitely one of the channels of growth. One of the other areas would be innovation. You need to constantly find new ideas, find new concepts to really help the company continue to grow. And a lot of big conglomerates use corporate venture capital as a way to do that. And I understand that KBank also has K-Vision. Can you talk to us a little bit about K-Vision and what is your goal there?
Of course. Although we realize that tech will be our core capability, it doesn't mean that we have to do everything ourselves, right? We'll focus on the financial technology. But then as the mobile lifestyle penetrate into every part of the people's life, so not just banking, so whether it's healthcare, whether it's education, commerce, everything, the behavior is migrating towards online or mobile. We don't think we should do everything ourselves, right? We start to think about partnership. In this market entry, in this regional expansion, we develop a partnership strategy because we know that we need to integrate ourselves into the people's life. And the way to do that is to embed our banking service into a tech ecosystem. There are many ways to do that, of course, but one of the way that we think makes sense is that apart from supporting the traditional business, SME and the people, we should find a way to support the digital business, right? So we decide to set up a K-Vision holding company, and we allocate some investment fund, and we start talking to small and medium tech firms, the digital startup, not just in Vietnam actually, in China, in Vietnam, in Indonesia, to create a partnership and to show our seriousness or to show our sincerity that we want to take this partnership very seriously. Not just in addition to collaboration that we discuss with them, we also make decision to invest interesting tech startups.
I think that's very interesting, your perspective on how to continue to grow and innovate within the financial sector. One of the question marks that come up in my mind is, as a bank, you're very risk averse, right? You always try to think about plan B, plan C, plan D to Z before you do something, I'm sure. So when you do venture capital investments, you invest in young tech companies, it's a very high risk activity. Can you talk a little bit about your thoughts on risk when it comes to investments? Because then my next question will obviously be, how do you handle risk within the retail market, right? Because as a customer, I want to know that this is a bank that I can trust, that you're handling risk well. So how do you view risk within your investments as well as within the retail sector?
Before we invest into a company, we study different industry first, and we make a decision. We choose to invest in the industry that will support the people's life, not just to find a company that will grow very quickly. So we are interested in a long term. We invest, we focus on industries that will improve people's life. For example, healthcare. For example, education, and then after we select the right industry that we believe will be there in the long run, we will walk the market and we'll talk to the company in those industries. And then we want to invest in the company that are passionate about what they do, and they have a long-term goal rather than just building the company and sell it. So we'll work closely with them because, as I mentioned, it's not just investment, right? We will, in addition to the investment money, we'll need to make sure that they are open for innovation and collaboration with the bank. Of course, there will be risk, right? This is a startup arena. So, but I think with this collaboration, we can also help support and promote each other, both the tech company and the bank, to grow together. So we don't just invest in these companies. We hope to work with them.
Okay, like a partnership.
Yes.
So then is that how you also think about your relationship with the retail customers?
Of course. This is a long-term relationship. When we build our business, when we acquire new customers, we don't just think about the short term. The banking partnership, we want to create a lifelong relationship with our clients. When it comes to the bank clients relationship, our 70 years of experience make us believe in a lifelong relationship with our clients. So not just providing service to them at this time, but to grow with our clients into the future. And not just for individual customers, also with businesses. As KBank is a forerunner, we are the first mover in SME banking in Thailand. So we developed the SME banking about 20 years ago. And during that time, none of the bank will be happy to talk with SME. It's not easy. But we believe that moving into the future, small business will grow and become a significant part of the country.
I definitely think that when it comes to finances, you definitely want a long-term relationship. And I don't doubt that KBank has that expertise in Thailand. One of the things I think about, though, is when you enter the Vietnam market, SMEs and individuals already have long-term relationships with banks that have also been around for many, many years in Vietnam. So what was your analysis of that? I understand you looked at the market and you saw the opportunity. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the risks that you saw. As you analyzed the competition and the market, what are some of those risks, and how did you mitigate those risks, and why did you decide to enter the market despite the risk?
We don't see competition as a big risk, actually. Our experience in Thailand, of course, we've been through this similar experience 30, 40 years ago when the foreign bank from the West come into the Thai market. Initially, we were a little bit scared, but then we learned that customers doesn't bank with only one bank. And we start actually working with these foreign banks to share different kind of service. From our experience, the new competitor that come into the market would bring some experience in different financial service and product to the market. Some of them are new to the local financial industry. But then the local banks will carry a stronger local understanding, right? And combining this, working together, trying to, or fighting to serve the clients, right, will create, in the end, a better financial service for everyone. But then again, customers doesn't, even individual customers, do not bank with just one bank, right? For example, customers in Thailand usually bank with 3.5 banks, right, on average. And in Vietnam, we would expect that this will be similar. It's up to us if we can create an interesting value proposition, right, and offer better service and products to the clients to make them satisfied and choose us as one of the institutions that they want to bank with.
Okay, that's great. Coming back to KBTG a little bit, you mentioned that you invested in e-commerce companies, in fintech, also education. Is there a reason why you decided to focus on those sectors as opposed to more financial related sectors such as blockchain?
Of course, blockchain is a very interesting technology, and we are not neglecting the blockchain technology itself. We have an NFT platform that we developed called Coral, right? And we also experiment. We are the first bank in Thailand to launch a blockchain-based letter of guarantee with the Bank of Thailand. But when it comes to investment, right? Blockchain, we need to secure the capability. But the market hype, right? It has become, in terms of valuation, in terms of the real world use case, that is still a little bit far away. And we think we can have the capability without the need to follow the flow and invest in too many blockchain-based technology. On the other hand, for other industries like commerce, like logistics, like healthcare or education, there's a change in the delivery, right? But the use case, the requirements of the people is the same. The people need education, right? But maybe they don't need to have a physical school. They need health care, but how can we reduce the effort for the patient to go and see the doctor? And we believe that this will help improve the life of the people. In terms of technology, it's fairly basic, but it's the business model that when they incorporate technology into the delivery of these industries, it becomes more efficient and it improves people's life. So we believe that to actually create real usable deliveries in these industries, you need a good banking integration.
Speaking of helping out businesses, I think through your 19 years of experience in Thailand, and then also as you start out in Vietnam, you've seen a lot. Right? You've worked with a lot of different types of businesses. You've watched them grow. As you start working with new businesses that are maybe small right now, what are some advice that you can give to these businesses as they think about some of their financial needs?
Especially this time that we are facing the global headwinds, I would say that especially for the small business, I would suggest this small business to prioritize your need and try not to do everything at this time. Of course, the future prospect is still there. There's the big growth and the economy is booming. And as we are passing COVID, the service industry, the tourism and hospitality industry will flourish again. So prioritize and be prudent with your financial planning. Don't overspend so you miss the round when the boom happens again. That would be my suggestion.
Well, some say that during a downturn is where there's opportunity. So how does a business think about how to be prudent while also taking advantage of that opportunity? Are there any examples you've seen in the past of a company that's been able to kind of really take advantage of a downturn to position themselves well?
Okay, again, you're right that in the crisis there are opportunities. So this is the time that you'll have to choose. There are so many opportunities happening now that I believe that big or small business is looking at the moment. But then learn your strengths and choose. Maybe the best choice is not the one that is the biggest one, but the one that align with your capability and align with your status, with your strengths. Also, choose one that you have passion. Choose one that you are passionate with. Bringing strength and passion to a new opportunity that you see those are the two most ingredients of success. And maybe talk to a good bank.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, because we talked a lot about SMEs, right? But let's not forget about the retail customer, the consumer. Can you talk a little bit about personal financial planning? Right? Maybe give an example of a long-term plan that you've created for yourself that you think was very helpful, that maybe people listening can think about and consider as they think about their own financial planning.
What I can suggest is that financial planning is one of a very important part in life. Starting early is a very crucial part of a successful financial planning. So although Vietnamese are very young, right, I would suggest that clients, every Vietnamese should start thinking about financial planning. I mean long-term financial planning. Start early and there'll be a chance to learn. There'll be success and failure. If you fail young, it will be much easier to recover and you'll achieve the financial goal maybe in the next 10 or 20 years. Create a plan that is sustainable. Of course, everybody wants to get rich, right? But then, right. But also be serious about your long-term goal. In this development that we have so many digital opportunities happening, I would say that consider each opportunity carefully. Learn about these new things, new instruments, whether it's investment opportunity, whether it's things like cryptocurrency. Consider it as a tuition fee, right? To learn. Don't put everything you have into it yet until you really understand what's going on.
Okay, all right, very prudent advice. Can we go back to KBank a little bit? We talked a lot about the opportunities that you saw and some of the risks that you examined before you entered the market. Let's talk about the future. What are some areas that you will focus on going into the future to lead KBank into growth in Vietnam?
SME, of course, will be one of the area that we want to journey into, especially the digital SME. We already start working with some of our tech partners to offer the product that can support the digital SME to grow, right? We have a product called KBank Biz Loan, which is a working cap focusing on the digital online merchant. Also, apart from SME, retail business is the area that we want to become part of in this country. In Thailand, we are, apart from the K Plus application, within K Plus service, right? The big service that we have is a payment service. And we have become the major payment processor in Thailand. And comparing with Vietnam, now I think the non-cash payment is growing very quickly here. So in Vietnam, the growth will be from two sides. One is the market itself is growing, right? And then within the market, the non-cash service is also growing. So non-cash payment, the digital payment in Vietnam will be a very big thing. And we believe that we know a thing or two about good digital payment service. So not just on the consumer sides, but on the merchant sides. We think we can bring a good experience in non-cash payment to the Vietnamese economy. Apart from helping them with the loans, we can also supporting them with the offline payment and many other things. Among these things, one of the things we do is that we are launching a program called Unleash Your Business with KBank, where the clients can get our support to access attractive advertising package online, so they can present their business to a larger group of audience, so people will get to know them better, and hopefully this will help their business volume to grow. Not just the advertising channel, we also support this household business, small business, with all the creative work. So they can participate. The business who choose to participate in this will also have experience in creating the advertisement that fits with their need without shipping out too much money in the beginning, right? So they can learn the process, what is good, what is not. And once they have this experience, we hope that they'll have more confidence investing in marketing to grow their business in the future. With our experience, not just in terms of financial service, but with our local market knowledge. Whether you want to go to Thailand, you want to go to China, you want to go to Indonesia, right, or other countries in the region, we can support you. Come talk to us. We can support you not just in terms of the banking product, but also I think the more valuable things that we can share or can support will be the local knowledge that we have. So we made a lot of mistakes when we go into a new country, and you don't have to make the same mistake again.
So, okay, great. So why don't we wrap up the conversation? I know that KBank is very bullish on the Vietnam market. Can you summarize in maybe 3 words how you feel about the Vietnam market?
Can I have a little bit more than 3?
Sure.
Very happy to be here, and we hope that we can bring our experience, our strengths in capital, and our strong technology to help to become part to help create better future for the Vietnamese economy.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much for having me. Happy to be here, and thank you everyone for joining the session. Thank you very much.
Thưa các bạn, có thể thấy dù là một doanh nghiệp lớn ở Đông Nam Á, nhưng KBank cũng phải cực kỳ kỹ lưỡng trong việc bước chân sang thị trường mới với mục tiêu tạo động lực cho các doanh nghiệp SMEs, vạch ra những chiến lược giúp khách hàng tại Việt Nam có trải nghiệm tài chính, tín dụng tốt hơn. Tôi rất vui khi được trò chuyện với lãnh đạo một doanh nghiệp đầy năng lượng như KBank. Xin cảm ơn quý vị đã dành tình cảm và theo dõi Talkshow Nguy Cơ. Xin kính chào và hẹn gặp lại các bạn trong chương trình Nguy Cơ tập tới. Cùng Thái Vân Linh trong Talkshow Nguy Cơ, tiên phong giải các bài toán thúc đẩy doanh nghiệp. Thứ 5 hàng tuần trên vnexpress.net.